Today I want to warn you about a very powerful and dangerous drug, and it's called nostalgia. Nostalgia can kill your soul, honestly, I truly believe. It's very luxuriant, it's very tempting, but it's a poison you don't want to have too much of, and it's especially in today's world. It's all over the place. Now, nostalgia is unique to our environment. Now, everyone in all times and places, they have some pining for their childhood, or, oh, I miss that. I miss when that was here. And, I miss when we used to do that. It's very natural. But in our world, if you really think about it, the modern consumerist world, it is a perfect storm for this nostalgia that blinds everything, because there's 90s nostalgia, there's 80s nostalgia, and there's 70s nostalgia. Every generation, or not even every generation, every couple of years, the toys that kids play with are totally different. The social environment is entirely different. When I was in high school, it was the era of flip phones, an era that came and went very quickly. And, just a couple years later, there were no more flip phones. Now there are smartphones. The dynamic is entirely different. Obviously, now people are sharing pictures and, all this other stuff. And that actually fundamentally transforms the way that people interact. So it's actually very normal in the modern West, especially, for a generation of people, like if you know someone who's 10 years younger than you, the games they played, the ways they interacted with their friends are entirely different from the ways that you interacted with your friends. And in each case, there's no continuity, there's no stability, right? So it's not like, oh yeah, I don't know, girls play with dolls and boys do this, I don't know, they play with sticks and hit each other. It's not like this thing that is going to be common among generations. It's something that actually changes all the time. And what that means is you can't go back and experience that again. Your children are not going to have the same experiences that you had, okay? And it's like a guy who, let's say he really liked his Zelda games, like his Nintendo 64. And he's like, oh yeah, my kid's gonna play video games and he's gonna like that too. And, it's not really the same thing, because, this game, it's not impressive anymore. It's old fashioned. Compared to the other slop that I can consume, it's actually not attractive. And so what that means is, all of us are in a weird position where the things that we enjoyed as kids are just gone. They're just dead. They're the things that appear in autistic people's collections of stuff. Oh, here's and I still, like, every once in a while I still remember things from my childhood, and it's like it's an entirely lost world, because the modern world, the consumerist world, is very much about new things and faddish things that aren't going to last, things that you get very emotionally attached to, and then they disappear, then they're gone, and all your emotional attachment was for nothing. And that actually is kind of the problem. Now, I mentioned video games. I think video games are a fantastic example. Obviously, I think really people should never be playing video games, especially as individuals. If you're in a party and you're playing with other guys, I kind of understand that. But I think I look at all the time that I wasted as a kid, and it's a killer. But one thing that I think is really funny, nowadays, and this shows you the poison of nostalgia, because ultimately, people, when they see that the world they grew up in is gone, it's lost, there's a part of them, they want to relive it. They want to relive that experience. They want to go back and, have those feelings again. And you can't do it. You can't do it, not just because the world has gone past that, but even the enjoyment itself was superficial. Video games are a good example. Let me give you one. In video games, nowadays, don't even look this stuff up. I know a lot of people probably know about it. But there's this stuff called video game speedrunning, right? Which is the most depressing and degenerate thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Because the whole, really what's happening there is there are guys, again, they like some old video game, and they played it a lot as children. Now they're adults, and they have nothing to do. Their lives are empty. So they play the game over and over again. They optimize it. They try to speedrun it. And then sometimes they'll even hack into the game, change things around, create new challenges for themselves. So 25 years later, they're still trying to they're taking this game from the 80s or the 90s, and they're trying to relive the experience they had as a kid. right? And that's what I mean by like nostalgia can be a real poison in today's society. By itself, it's not really dangerous, you know. There's nothing wrong with looking back at the past and remembering the good old days, but really we should live in a place where, you know, you should be able to go back to the school you used to go to and you know, kind of see the kids are different, but it's still the same. That's not the case anymore. You know, in our world of rapid change, rapid technological change, mass immigration, all these kind of things, like the world, like the world we grew up in is constantly dying. You know, there's memes that guys have, oh, the world you grew up in is gone. It's constantly going. It's constantly leaving, you know, and even at the rate, you know, the reason this stuff is such a poison, like it really part of growing up in today's world is kind of getting over those old obsessions. And, you know, obviously I struggle with this, you know, when I remember, you know, I have rose tinted glasses about a lot of the things in, you know, my early childhood or something like that. But I think a lot of it is like, you have to keep looking forward, you know, and ultimately, you know, my priority, I think, is, you know, living in a more stable world. You know, I've said this in another video, but that's something that people overlook. And so this stuff, like, don't get in, the real thing is like, you want those experiences, like you want the feeling of continuity, and to look at children and to look at the next generation and say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, I relate to that. But the world as it is now has taken that away from us because of technological, spiritual, all kinds of change. That's a bad thing, you know, because we're so disconnected from every generation, you know, the generation before us and the generation after that. There's an inherent value in that, and we want to have some of that, but we can't have it. Nostalgia is just a feeling of loss. It's a feeling of I can't get that back, and it's actually very sad. And you know how we have to cope in a way is just kind of order our priorities. And you know there are a lot of the little things in your past that are just gonna disappear, and it might hurt, but it doesn't matter. And you need to get over. You need to, I don't know, pull away from the video game speedrunning, or your video game speedrunning, whatever that is, and focus on the stuff that matters. However, you know, and I think really the way to do that is identifying what's really going on. Like we want continuity. We want to have parts of our childhood in the future, because that means that we have a future that we can understand and control and have a say in. And the modern world, modern consumerism, this is very much not that. So anyway, that's all I gotta say.